the dimension in which you're riding. You're suddenly going from horizontal to vertical. Yeah. It feels like you're dropping off the side of Earth.
Hello, it's Zoe, and welcome back to the Mischief Movement podcast, your weekly inspo for people looking for more hell yeah in their life. Consider this your one-way ticket out of midlife mediocrity towards fun and positive impact via playful disruption. Wouldn't you love to wake up and feel like a total badass? How about breaking some rules, throwing 2 fingers up to society and doing more of the things you love? I'm talking full-on freedom, adventure, and those meaningful connections I know you've been craving. Stop waiting for your amazing life to happen and go get it! I'll be picking the brains of some true game changers and mischief makers so I can share what I find and hopefully inspire you to shake things up, do more of what makes you feel alive, and boldly rebel against the ordinary. I've no idea what I'm doing, to be honest, but I've got a mission and I'm here to start a movement. It's going to be quite the adventure. Care to join me? Okay, here goes.
This episode is for anyone who ever felt like pursuing a passion would lead nowhere. It's also for anyone creating or dreaming of creating their own community, anyone looking to change up their 9-to-5 for freelance life, or anyone with a love of skating or skateboarding. Georgia Luck first picked up a longboard during 2020, and in just 3 short years, she's accomplished so much, from finding a hobby that truly lights her up and becoming a professional athlete, to using it as a tool for connection, travel, new experiences, and even completely flipping the way she worked on its head. More than anything, I love this conversation with Georgia because in allowing herself to lean into the things she gets excited about, she's opened up the door to an entirely new life. I'm so happy to finally be getting this interview with you since I came across your fantastic story at Camp VC this summer. Do you want to tell everybody who you are and what your mischief is?
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm really excited to be on the podcast, spend a bit of time with you. And yeah, I'm really happy to share a little bit about my story or the story of longboarding and how I came about at Camp VC. So yeah, we met last summer, was it? In July?
Yeah.
In North Wales. And I'd been invited to speak at Girls Who Grind Coffee's tent, where they were platforming women from different, specialities, either running communities or part of a women's motor racing team. So I am based in Bristol. I'm a pro longboarder. I ride for Luca Longboards, Slide Perfect. And I also co-run a community with my amazing friend Danielle in the city, where we essentially aim to get as many people on longboard as we can. It's kind of built for women, but we're inclusive and we ride with everyone. We do all different kind of styles of skating. Now, longboarding is quite a niche within skateboarding. If you haven't heard of it before, the boards are traditionally or typically longer. We have a very different style. We still do tricks, and that's something I'm quite interested in. We do this thing called dancing, which is stepping and flowing on the board while riding. We do downhill. We ride pump tracks. Some of the girls are learning how to drop in and ride street. So I got started in 2020 during lockdown. We were all kind of stuck indoors. We were allowed 30 minutes exercise a day. And I was living in London in like an estate. And I knew, obviously, we couldn't go and visit friends. We didn't really know what the rules were and how safe it was to go and meet people outdoors. So I did a lot of kind of solo exercising. And I decided that I just was so done with running. I was so done with, traditional ways of just moving your body. And I picked up a longboarder. I had found one in the garage, and I decided to just go out every day for 30 minutes at lunchtime. And it was the thing that I would be most excited to do each day. And it just, I just got the bug for it. I just got really interested and went on a massive YouTube deep dive. I knew no one that skateboarded at this point, and no one to kind of teach me the wrongs and the rights, and I fell a lot. And ultimately met people through it. Eventually, when lockdown restrictions kind of were taken off, and I realized that beyond just a piece of wood with wheels on that is fun to play on, it's also this amazing tool to meet people and find human connections and have new experiences and travel and, understand more about yourself as a person and how you deal with failure and how you deal with progress and rewarding and getting hurt. Your relationship with pain absolutely changed. And I'm such a big fan, and it's ultimately kind of changed my life, so for the better.
That's incredible. I can't believe that finding this longboard in the garage has led to, ultimately changing your life.
Yeah.
So you got on and you started practicing and stuff, but how long was it between picking the board up and like really starting at your own community?
I think it was about a year, like 6 months to a year.
It's not long, really, is it?
No, not at all. I think there's a point when you skate when you hit a slump when you're on your own, and it's a benefit to do it with people. The best way to learn is with other people. There's so many hundreds, if not thousands, of people out there around you that have so many skills, and it's such a gracious sharing activity that you can just rock up and people will teach you, for nothing, because they just want to see you do it and land it. And so within 6 months to a year, I realized that I was struggling in a bit and I wanted to be better and I wanted to learn things with people. So I relocated from London and moved to Bristol and reconnected with an old friend, Danielle, who was living in Bath at the time. And we spoke. We said, we're so keen to get out on our boards. There was also a really big boom and interest in skateboarding immediately after the pandemic. I don't know if you heard about this, but roller
especially the roller skating.
Exactly. Yeah. So actually, it was like another heyday for like longboard sales and skateboard sales and things like that. And we started meeting in Millennium Square in Bristol in the centre, where lots of people were roller skating at the time as well. It was a really nice place to be for us, because we kind of realized that for longboarding there isn't really a space for us in terms of learning and training. And so we started meeting, and then we were just like, let's just post this on Facebook groups. Let's just tell people we're going out and see if anyone wants to join. We'd be riding through the city or walking through the city and just see someone with a longboard and say, hey, you, come and join us. We're going out on Monday or Wednesday. And then,
I love that.
Yeah. And then maybe 2 months, we had like 60 people in this chat, which a lot of word of mouth was pretty exceptional. I know Bristol itself is a very like skate friendly. There's a lot more longboarders in there. There's a longboard shop as well. I realize that now, but I had no idea. And it's kind of this thing when you join and start a niche hobby that you actually realize how many people do these things too. And they also tend to be your kind of people, really friendly, really kind, really interesting and creative. And I can go on later about the community itself and like what it's brought to me, meeting all these people and how skilled and talented they are in so many different ways. But that was the origin. We just started as two friends, just beginners wanting to learn, falling and failing, and the important part was laughing and getting up and trying again together. And it is what it is now, which is over 100 women. We have 400 followers on Instagram. We've done a lot of features, media interviews. Danielle now works in the longboarding shop. I became sponsored. I've traveled and competed internationally, and it's kind of like a baby that has allowed us to play and be creative and make things.
I find that incredible that you started in 2020 and we're sat here recording this in 2023 and you're telling me that you've already been sponsored and you've already competed.
Yeah.
And you've built this whole community. It's incredible, Georgia.
Thank you so much. I think I don't really have this concept of time. It doesn't feel like 3 years. It feels like it's been my whole life, because I feel a little bit like my life started when I started doing it.
Oh, how lovely.
I hope that continues. Yeah.
That's amazing. And
Thank you.
one of the things that you talked about was how it changed your life. And I can see how, it's brought this kind of extra layer in, but has it changed the way you live and your actual lifestyle? Has it had an influence? I mean, already you told me that you've moved out of London. How much of an impact has it had on your lifestyle?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, up until the pandemic, I was working a very corporate job. It was still within the arts, but I was in the business of administration of the arts, and my life revolved around work, and I never really felt like I found my thing. And then once I started realizing that I could travel with skateboarding, and I could see all these amazing places, and I started making friends across Europe, and I've met a lot of really, really incredible people. Shout out to all the guys and girls in the Netherlands and Spain and France. And once I started meeting those people, I was like, oh my God, how can I just work in an office and, live for the weekend? This will never work. That I will never be able to get out there and spend time with the people that I really love and try new things. So I decided to make the switch. I went freelance, and I started looking and applying for remote work and remote jobs. And it's gone really well, actually. I wasn't expecting to do that later in my 20s. If anything, it's maybe, I don't know, I think I just didn't really think of doing it until I had a reason to do it, and the reason was to be skating and traveling. And yeah, I've worked with some really amazing businesses since, and last year I was able to travel for 2 months while working remotely the whole time, and essentially funding myself to be able to do this, which is no mean feat. So that all changed. Work changed. My relationship, I think I mentioned before in an email to you, but my relationship to my time and what I'm most excited to work for, why I work, is essentially to have free time, to have time to play with these hobbies, to spend time with people I care about, to essentially buying your time back, because we're not on this planet to live to work. We're on this planet to work to live.
That's amazing. And I mean, we often hear about the benefits, and we're sold a kind of idyllic view of sort of this nomadic lifestyle. I think it's sold to us as an idea of you've got total freedom, you choose your own hours, you go where you want, you take time off, or you work away. There must be some points at which you think, actually, this is quite hard right now. Do you ever question your choice and think, it's quite difficult, actually, it's not this idyllic lifestyle that I've been sold, and then have to kind of find a way to bring yourself back to, why am I doing this?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when I'm in Bristol and I'm just working from home and I'm not leaving the house and I'm not, in a new space, I think that's when it's potentially the toughest.
Yeah.
I do miss this concept of going out, meeting people, having a team, all of these things. And what I like about being a freelancer is actually, and what I'm moving forward to now, is that I don't have to be fully work from home remote, and I don't have to have one client that I only work for. I could have fixed term projects. So the role that I'm starting next, actually, I'm going to be out and about working with people, driving around Bristol. And that runs up until March, which essentially covers the winter period. So that's perfect for me, because if I love that job, I can continue with it. If I want to go back to remote and travel again once spring happens, then I have the options to do that. I'm really grateful that kind of work I found work and I'm not struggling. I know a lot of people are struggling at the minute. And it's not to say that projects haven't closed, but it always seems that when one project closes and they have to end it because they can't afford it anymore, it opens up your time to find another. So I think I just go in with this attitude of work will find me as long as I continue working hard. And ultimately, I would love to find this dynamic where the work I do in the day I love so much that it also means that evening is play and fun, and I can just have fun all the time, if that's at all possible.
Yeah. No, I totally share that. Like, blending the boundary between work and play is my ultimate dream, I have to say. Yeah. And so what kind of projects are you working on, if I can ask you that?
Sometimes I do instructing, where I teach people how to skate. Up until now, I've been in kind of digital marketing, and I've been supporting some remote travel companies. So I was sending kit out to expeditions, film kit, and editing the footage back and then sharing it. And that was quite fun because it's really creative. I've done ad hoc roles where I've been supporting muralists and street artists. I worked with a friend called Jasmine who painted all the signage for Spring Classic Festival and supported. And I think I love this variety, and especially work with my hands where I can make something quite tactile. I would love to do some more instructor training, and I'd love to learn to coach different things. I think I have a lot of hobbies also outside of skateboarding. I would love to be able to use that experience that I think I picked up from the community to understand how to be a good teacher and convey something, and then use it to essentially, get people to love other things and learn things, and feel that sense of reward when you've just, landed a new trick or learned a new skill, something like that.
Yeah, I love the fact that there's so much variety in what you just talked about, because one of my issues is this idea that we have to fit in a box and specialise in one thing. And I'm sure in certain industries that really works for people, but I always feel limited and sort of a bit cut off if I have to limit myself and call myself one thing. Whereas when you can find a selection of different jobs that require different skills and draw on previous experiences, I think actually there's something really exciting and magical about being that more generalist, that person who can lend themselves to all kinds of different things. And what I love about what you just said is, look at me, I'm doing it. It's brilliant. It's fantastic, because you are going against the grain in that way, and you're still able to make time for your passion for longboarding.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd say time is not wasted as well. Everything that you do, you learn something from. I think one of my longest projects, I was doing very little, and I actually realized that it wasn't good for me, and I need something that challenges my brain. And actually the time felt so long because I wasn't doing something that really stimulated me. So I don't ever regret. I don't think I don't regret my choices, but I do want to make sure I learn a lesson from each of them.
I'm excited to continue partnering with Polite Club, a brand whose mission is to change the attitude towards vulnerability and to encourage more conversation around it in order to increase real human connection. Connection is one of my core values, as you know, so to bring more people together and help you rebel against staying the same, Polite Club are offering a cheeky 10% discount when you use the code MISCHIEF at the checkout. 50% of the profits from this organic and rebellious brand are used to fund proactive suicide prevention in the form of coaching, support and awareness raising. So get involved and become a vulnerable with us. For more info on the brand or to buy online, go to politeclub.co.uk or follow on Instagram at politeclubhq. P.S. If you are a small business doing things differently, an independent brand disrupting the status quo, or simply an unconventional, adventurous individual looking to create a positive impact, I'd love to hear from you about getting your story out there in the world and promoting you. DM me on Instagram at The Mischief Movement. Right, now on with the show.
So, going back to the community that you've created, what does that look like in its current format, and how do you see that going forward in the future?
So this community is still active. It's still running through winter, which we're really excited about. It's in its kind of third edition, as we call it. And what's really nice is that once spring summer starts, we get a new round of people. Every year, me and Danielle get to meet these amazing people that are adventurous, and they're so excited to learn, and they come with this new energy, which also gives us energy. Danielle is working with this longboard shop called Vandam, and she's running workshops where she teaches people how to do board maintenance on their board and do grip tape art, and essentially teach people the skills that they might not know or have. They're also doing a lot of downhill sessions throughout the winter, so taking people to these not open roads, but roads where there's little or no cars, and learning how to do hands down slides. So skating faster and using your toes and heels on the board to push the board out and slide it along the ground, and create some really beautiful, artistic looking slides. There's events that run all around the UK, and we travel a lot as a group. Within Wales, a lot of the downhillers, they go up to the hills, to the mountains. With the dancing freestyle scene that I'm very in, we go to London and Brighton to see London Longboards, all of our friends there. And in Brighton, my friend Luca Barton hosts some really cool events by the city, and he's also one of the best longboarders in the UK. He's absolutely incredible. And so if we can travel, we can essentially create really nice experiences for people to learn and to do some really cool things. And within the community as well, each of the people that we meet also has, other interests, other skills, other hobbies. And we've been able to do collaborations with them, which has been really nice. So Charlie, one of our very recent members, she is a really talented artist and has been starting to design things with us. And I ran an event, Bristol Bloom Fiesta, where we invited a lot of friends into the city. We also had some friends travel from Europe, and we showed them the whole of the city in one weekend.
Amazing.
We did, we did a skate jam, we did pump track lessons and drop-in workshops, and got up at 6 a.m. every morning to try and see the blooms.
Wait. Pump track and drop in. Come on. You're speaking to somebody who is skateboard ignorant. Give me the dictionary definition.
So sorry. You know when you're saying it? Okay, so a pump track is essentially a series. It's like a circuit, like a little track circuit, and traditionally it's made for BMX bikes.
Okay.
So they go over these bumps, and they generate speed and turn corners while pumping. So the pumping motion is pushing down and lifting up, and there's a technique to it. It's not super hard to learn, but when you can do it, it feels so, so good, and you can actually get really quick. So a lot of our crew really enjoy pump tracks. There's maybe 20 that follow the circle around Bristol, and a lot of the group have done quite a few of them. My favourite is Brunel Way, which is in the city centre, and it's a very mellow one. A lot of kids and babies use it, but on a skateboard you can still go super fast. That's a pump track. And then drop-ins is like a traditional skateboard transition move. So when you start from the top of a bowl or a ramp, and then you hang your skateboard with the kicktail over the edge of the coping, and then you fully commit and you slam down with your front foot and you essentially drop in.
I haven't tried it, but I see people doing that, and I feel like that looks like the scariest part, because it's like being on this little precipice, and like you said, you have to commit, because I imagine that if you go in sort of half-hearted or like, I don't know if I can do it, you're just going to fall before you even begin.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say it's one of the toughest things I've ever learned. And I had to go back to basics this year to learn it. I got my first drop in this summer. And if I can give people advice, it's to go with a friend, have someone support you, stand next to you, put their arm out, hold their hand, fully wear protections, full helmet, wrist pads, knee pads, absolutely everything. So you reduce any chance of injury, and you just get comfortable with that commitment, because it is, like you said, it's a full commit. If you change your mind halfway through and you lean backwards, you fall, you hurt yourself. And I didn't find that full commitment natural at all. Perhaps because I've been skating a little bit longer and I've had injuries, and so I know what it feels like to hurt, and I don't want to hurt. But it's euphoric. It's one of the best feelings in the world. You can't compare it to anything else, because essentially you're changing the dimension in which you're riding. You're suddenly going from horizontal to vertical. Yeah. It feels like you're dropping off the side of Earth.
That's incredible. It does make me want to try, although at the same time, it does scare me quite a lot.
Come to one of our workshops. Come
I
along.
would love that so much.
My friend Jules this summer helped 5 of our girls learn to drop in 2 different sessions, which is exceptional. Like, people don't usually learn it that quickly. So I think with the right person, with the right friend, we have lots of really amazing friends who have been doing this for maybe over a decade. So my next advice is find someone who's done it already, and can kind of reassure you that it is possible, and anyone can drop in. It's just having the confidence and the know-how and the right equipment to do it.
I have to say that having met a few skaters recently, probably off the back of Camp VC, actually, it does make me think, actually, what's really to stop me? It's the fear of looking a bit stupid learning, and the fear of hurting myself quite badly. But at the same time, I do love a challenge. So I don't know when I'll get around to it, but I must give it a go. I really must. I really want to, especially talking to you, talking to somebody with so much passion about it. You really do transmit that enthusiasm for what you do and make me want to just buy a longboard and get involved. I think that's incredible.
I would say, I mentioned earlier how it changed my relationship with and helped me learn things about myself. One of the skills that I think skating actually really helped with was that embarrassment of falling over and doing something wrong in public, because I guarantee it happens almost every session. I've learned that if I fall in front of someone, it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm bad. It means I'm trying. Yeah. And that's the difference, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I think everybody should walk away remembering that, because it goes back to sort of making mistakes and what we call failure. You know, it's never failure, it's feedback. And actually, when we are making mistakes, it's because we're trying something. And that should be celebrated, not looked on as failure at all, really.
Absolutely.
How did you go about creating this amazing community, from you and your friend Danielle to what you have now?
So we just wanted to create spaces and, go to places that both me and Danielle wanted to do. So I suppose it started off as, what do we want? And then the language kind of changed to what do they want, or what do we want as a collective? As people grew, we started asking for more feedback. And it's very much like an open space for people to say, hey, I would really like to try this thing. And then me and Danielle would put our brains together and go, how can we make this happen for someone? We started running lots of initiatives that could help people learn, or I was buying a lot of boards, and then I was trying to try everything, because before, you try one deck, it's not always the right thing for you, particularly with longboarding, because they vary so much. Okay. And 5 centimeters makes a big difference. So at one point, Danielle labeled me the import export of the Southwest, because I would buy a longboard and then I would sell it on. It's pretty much like half the price that I bought it for. I'd make a massive loss, but I would sell it to someone in the community, and then that person would love it and come out and use it and ride it, and then we had a friend for life through that. So the first thing we started doing was getting people off really crappy Amazon boards, like pintails, things that you can't really do much with, things that run to the ground. They haven't changed the bearings for like 4 years. The bolts are rattling. It's not safe. And we have seen a lot of really unsafe boards. And then I suppose it was just equipping people with the skills that we learned as we picked up. So there was a real thirst from me and Danielle to learn new things. And ultimately, that's what we were there for as well, to push ourselves and try things. And once we learned a skill, we just felt this like need to give it to other people. So the moment we learned a trick, we'd say, right, everyone come out on Wednesday. We've just learned this thing. We're all going to practice together. And then a magical turning point in the last year and a half or so was when that first generation or start of the second generation, we started going to sessions and saying, hey, this is an open session now. Like, please feel free to try something new, or if you've learned something, teach someone else. And I wasn't expecting a lot to happen, but we were still organizing and setting up some themes and events. But I turned around and a lot of our friends that had been in the community for a year were just going up to all of the new people and saying, hey, like, let me help you. Here's this. And they were just sharing the information that they got from the group and sharing with the same amount of energy as me and Danielle. And that's when we kind of looked at each other like, this is really special, because it's no longer, it's a lot of work running a community. But when you have more people helping, it's so much less work. It's more joyful. It's more playful. You feel like the support of an army as opposed to, fighting in the barracks. I don't know. That was a really bad metaphor. But it honestly has never felt like work, but sometimes it can be a bit difficult, kind of like organizing and hosting things. And then in the winter, not many people turn up. But what keeps us going is this energy that comes from quite a lot of the crew that just, they want to do things and they're so keen to get involved. And I think the more that we work together, the more that we can create. And I think our next steps, or the thing that I'm most interested to do, is find some kind of sheltered indoor space for the coming months. Yeah. Because up until this point, I mean, we're a large collective of women. Sometimes we skate alone. Sometimes we use car parks and kind of quite quiet, dark spaces. And I think I'm getting to the point now where I also am thinking of people's safety, and I'm thinking of where we can go that isn't kind of dark and wet. And sometimes we're really fighting against the elements. And I think a little bit that is the nature of skateboarding. It's quite raw, it's quite rough. It is like, I will go out no matter what, but I'm also, with dancing and freestyle and the kind of boards that we ride, we don't have any grip tape on the top. So there's certain things that we have to be careful of. Particularly when you're doing spins and things like that. So I would really love to find some way to get some kind of sponsorship for the community. Up to this point, we've been entirely non-profit, and we're desperately looking for kind of more resources. That way you can ask so many favors and then you actually just do need, a space to use like once a month or twice, like every 2 weeks, where we could just go and let people play and train and connect and just get outside kind of, but meet other people and keep this energy going throughout the winter.
Well, in that case, I would urge anybody who's listening to this, who might know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, to call in those favors and see it would be amazing. I'd love to help you manifest this off the back of a podcast interview. It would be so amazing to connect you with the people you need to actually be able to facilitate this. So anybody who feels like they know a space, they know a person, like, please do reach out and get in touch. It would be incredible.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
No, you're so welcome. Georgia, it has been fantastic talking to you. You are so inspiring. The whole way that you've embraced this new hobby, the way that you have created this community and you continue to give back to this community. What are your ambitions or your vision for the next few years in terms of longboarding and how you want to live your life around it?
That's a really good question. I've been thinking a lot about this over the last few months, and I still don't quite have an answer. I suppose I want it to remain fun. I don't want to feel like it's work. I still want to be playing. I still want to be spending time with my friends. I want my body to still be strong. I want to avoid injuries for as long as possible. But if I do get injured, at least look after my body and make sure that I can, strengthen it again back to where it is, where it needs to be. I'd love to continue traveling. I'd love to do some more coaching. And I think Danielle is on the same space there as well. We're going to be hosting some movie screenings in the next year to hopefully show some inspiring movies and films. And me and Danielle featured in a documentary last year that was shot in Barcelona. That was produced by this global collective called Longboard Girls Crew, which we're also both a part of. And so we would love to premiere that in Bristol and do more things like that. We have really amazing relationships with other female collectives. And we already mentioned Soul Sisters with Nikita. I'm part of that community. There's also some really amazing other collectives around Bristol. So there's a women's mural collective, there's a women's motorbike collective, there is the surf club. So there's so many different ways that we could essentially skill swap and get people doing different things while also learning ourselves, but also just continue to nurture this community of people who also are my friends and people that I want to see and spend time with. And I suppose that's the goal, just continue doing it and for it to be fun and to bring joy to other people's lives.
Awesome. Where can people find out more about you?
Yeah, so for Bristol Girls Longboard, we're on Instagram, just Bristol Girls Longboard. On Instagram, I'm George Luck. My real name's Georgia, but my IG handle is George Luck. And those are the main spaces that I'm on.
Fantastic. Georgia, I wish you every success with the longboard community that you're creating, because it sounds amazing. And I do feel like I'm being called to go and live in Bristol. It sounds like an amazing place to live. There's so much going on, isn't there?
It's incredible. Yeah, I'm such a big fan of the city. It's really, I describe it as like a overgrown garden and compared to London, because London was so pristine and it was pre-cut and it was beautifully tailored, whereas Bristol is this kind of overgrown, not mess, but there's so much opportunity to craft it into something you want. So yeah, absolutely, come move here. I couldn't recommend it enough.
Amazing. Well, I can't wait to see you again, probably next year, and I'm sure I'll have a lot more questions for you then as well.
Thank you so much, Zoe.
Take care, Georgia.
So here we go with my 10 takeaways from Georgia's interview. Number 1, make time to get curious about something you think you'd enjoy. Georgia got really interested in her new hobby using YouTube to find out more. Number 2, you don't need other people to get started, although once you have got going, finding or creating a community will elevate you even more. 3, leaning into something you love can not only ignite a sense of flow or play, but also act as a tool to meet people, find connection, create new experiences and travel, and even to learn more about yourself as a person. 4,
On that subject, finding something that lights you up will teach you more about yourself. So how you deal with failure, how you progress, what it means to hurt yourself and get back up again when you do. Number 5, the best way to learn is with other people you can share your experiences with. Number 6, start where you are with what you've got. This was just 2 friends, 1 hobby, and the desire to share their experiences with others. 7, it is possible to design your job around your lifestyle. My episode with Max McMurdo talked a lot about this, and Georgia is proof that remote working can be a great choice for enabling you to live out your passions and not just live to work. 8, time is not wasted. Everything you do, you learn something from. 9, don't regret your choices. But if you do feel like you made a bad one, ask yourself, what is the lesson that you've learned? And number 10, falling or failing in front of someone doesn't mean you're bad. It means you're trying something new.
Oh, I hope you loved today's episode and it made you think differently, or perhaps nudged you into changing something in your life that's not working for you. I'd love to give you a shout out right here on the podcast too, so do let me know what you think, what you'd like to hear more of, or how you've been inspired. Let's keep in touch over on Instagram at The Mischief Movement. It's changed, did you see that? Or click the link in the show notes to sign up to my Mischief Mail newsletter, where you'll get exclusive insights on upcoming episodes and your chance to submit questions to future guests. But shh, don't tell anyone, it's our secret. Now, please keep spreading the word about the podcast. You're doing an amazing job. And I'm also super grateful for your 5-star ratings on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, because these seriously help my mission to inspire and empower more people like us to choose mischief over mediocre. Have a great week and keep making mischief. Ciao.